Smiley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and ascension forecast for Sunday, December 3rd to Saturday, December 9th. Okay, so last week we just had a mini meltdown in our brains under that very intense influence of the full moon in Gemini. Of course, that particular event popped off on the 27th, and we're very much still in that energy, realizing where there's choice points, where there's a division between our heart and head, between our inner realm and our outer realm, between the very extreme choice points, decisions, paths, and directions that we're currently trying to choose from. That particular energy definitely sent an energy bolt down into our earth plane that shook things up, that really put us in a different frame of mind, and for many of us actually triggered a little bit of a mini meltdown, a little bit of a tantrum in order for us to see where it is that we're holding on to some very potent energy in our physical bodies that just needed a release. Of course, we've been moving through the week trying to tie up the loose ends, learn the lessons, if you will, that November had to offer us. We are just coming into this brand new month, into December, with a brand new life lesson. And of course, throughout this week, we're feeling the intensities of Mercury moving through the final degrees of Sagittarius energy, because as you're listening to me here Friday evening, December 1st, not only have we shifted into a new month, but we had Mercury move into Capricorn earlier today. Totally different vibe, totally different perspective, totally different life lesson coming at us for the month of December. And of course, this week we were completing the last full week of Venus being in her rulership in Libran energy. Again, trying to balance things out, trying to make ourselves and other people happy, trying to create peace and harmony within ourselves, within our relationships, dynamics, and the world around us. I don't know about y'all, but I don't think Venus in her rulership is doing a very good job this time around. So what do we got going on this week? Well, as I previously mentioned, we are in December's energy. We have Mercury, again, moving in this Capricorn energy here today, setting us up for a very tunnel vision focus on what it is that we need to build, what it is that we need to create, and what it is that we need to clean up before we can start doing all of the new things. Now, we are going to see Venus leave her rulership in that Libran energy, and things are going to get intense. We're going to do a deep dive in Scorpio energy. And of course, that is taking place on the 4th. We will experience the last quarter moon taking place in Virgo energy here on the 5th, really putting into perspective a lot of what has happened over this last month, the highs, the lows, the everything in between. We have to process. We have to dissect our inner realm of thought. We have to really get very grounded, logical, practical on our plans that we're trying to conjure up. There's going to be a lot of emphasis on just rapidly processing a lot of different perspectives, understandings, thoughts, and ideas under that last quarter moon in Virgo. But of course, it is going to provide us a lot of clarity as well. Speaking of clarity, we will gain a lot of clarity, especially with new dreams, new inspirations, new visions, if you will, when Neptune finally goes direct on the 6th. So that, again, very low, slow moving planet, very subtle energy when it comes to the shift, but we are going to be moving forward in a brand new direction where our hopes, our dreams, our wishes, and our intuition is leading, is guiding, is assisting us on putting the puzzle pieces together. So there's definitely a lot going on. Now, before we jump into the Ascension symptoms for this week, let's cross a couple of things off of my homework list. The very first thing that I need to tick off is I need to thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, for sharing, for commenting, for subscribing. Just a heads up, YouTube changed their algorithm again. So you may even find that if you were subscribed to my channel, that maybe you've been unsubscribed. I'm going to recommend that you click that subscribe button, unsubscribe, and then resubscribe again, because nobody's getting my notifications. Nobody is getting any type of indication that I'm putting out new content, that I'm responding to the comments that you are leaving me. And I think it has to do with that new algorithm that, of course, YouTube pushed onto us. So just a little bit of a heads up, there are constant changes when it comes to YouTube. It's hard for creators to keep up with it. It's hard for, the community to keep up with it. But I've gotten a few messages to say that, hey, I've been subscribed to you for years, and I just found out that I'm not subscribed to your channel at all. I was wondering why I haven't seen any of your content. I thought you dropped off the face of the earth. Nope, I'm still here doing it every day. And so if you are used to seeing my content and then all of a sudden it stops, please go searching for my channel. Please take a look whether or not you've been unsubscribed unwillingly from my channel, and do all of the things, hit that bell so that you get all of the notifications for future content. Of course, I want to thank you for being in the chat. If you're here with me Friday evening, of course, we're having our Friday night date night. It is a beautiful time of the week where we all come together and just kind of reaffirm to each other that we're not crazy, we're not alone. It's a little bit of a pick-me-up. We all leave in a better mood, a better attitude than we came into the chat with. So I want to thank you so much for being here. And of course, if you're not in the chat and you're catching this on the replay, drop me a comment in the thread below. Let me know that you're here, that you're with us at a different time. And of course, thank you for dropping those beautiful emojis in the comment section below the videos. Not only is it painting a very beautiful picture to kind of scroll through, but it definitely helps perk up that algorithm and put my content in front of the people that want to see it. I also want to thank those of you that have gone ahead, that have downloaded your zodiac forecast for December. This is the last month of this 2023 chapter. It's very important, especially seeing as we're currently in experimental phase, and we are going to be tested very, very intensely from about the 13th to the 21st as we approach that solstice. Keep in mind, the division of the timelines in the collective, they are merging under the solstice. Keep in mind, the version of self that we're currently experimenting with, getting anchored under the solstice. And with that, new soul contracts, new timelines. So it is very important that you take a listen to the December energy forecast, the intro that I put out, all the astro forecasts that follow that particular video, because of course, those are all the astro events that are taking place and kind of coming at us here in the month. It's very important that you understand the lay of the land, that you're not taken by surprise when things start popping off and coming at you. The whole point, especially from the 13th to the 21st, is to keep us in a state of fear, confusion, exhaustion, pain, trauma. So we have to expect that things are going to get real. They're going to be coming at us. We're going to be tested. We're going to be challenged because, of course, the dark force agenda is to keep us at the lowest vibration possible around that solstice mark, so that is the version of self, the contracts, the timelines that we are going to be anchoring in with the new karmic chapter that is unfolding, that of course gets delivered to us with the solstice. So it's very important that you just kind of dabble in all of the content that I put out so that you have a bigger, broader picture of what it is that we're dealing with, so that you can stay prepared, you can stay ahead of the game, and you can make sure that that dark force agenda does not win. I also want to thank those of you that have taken advantage of the gift card that I have put out. Of course, a little bit of a reminder if you didn't know, I have no appointments available and will not be launching my appointment calendar until about mid-December. But up until the 12th of December, I have all the gift cards available for all of my services at the old pricing. Come January 1st, of course, like everything else, my prices are going up as well. So this is a great time, first of all, if you're a returning client, to lock in the old pricing. If you know that you're going to be wanting to book a session with me in 2024, it's a great idea to grab yourself a gift card or give the gift of guidance to someone that you love and actually kind of lock that in for your 2024 session. If you are not a returning client and you're someone new that would like to book a session for me, or with me, I should say, I would definitely recommend that you take advantage of the gift card thing now, because that's going to give you a free pass to my booking calendar. Come January 1st, my quote unquote new clients, or those interested in booking new sessions with me, there's going to be a wait list. You're only going to have one option for a session, and it's going to be a little bit more pricier than what my normal services will be priced at. So if you know that you would like to book a session with me in 2024 and become a client, I would definitely recommend that you take advantage of that gift card situation here up until the 12th. And of course, I just want to thank those of you that, of course, have moved over to my Patreon. A couple of fun things that I want to talk about. First of all, Patreon is giving even free members glimpses and previews of all of my paid for content. So if you want to dabble in your zodiac forecast, you can go ahead and preview what that's even going to sound like before you decide to actually purchase it. So we're going to be doing a lot of different things over on Patreon, especially coming into the new year. I've been wrecking my brain trying to figure out how I can kind of rearrange my service and content offerings in order for me to start doing the things that I actually enjoy doing, because most of the things that I'm doing, I don't really tend to enjoy. So there's going to be a lot of changes to my Patreon, but one thing that I tried out this month is that you can actually download your zodiac forecast without becoming a paid member. And so if that's something that interests you, just kind of jump over to my Patreon, explore it, become a member for free, get all of the preview to my content. Whether you want to upgrade to a paid subscription, that remains to be seen. You're still going to access a lot more content on Patreon than any other platform. So I would really welcome you in doing that. And of course, you can still download the zodiac forecasts off of my website. And again, if you haven't downloaded your Sagittarius Season E guide, I'm going to recommend you do that because we're in it. We have a lot to learn. Sagittarius season is the learning chapter, is the exploratory chapter of this new version of self, of what it is that this new version of self wants to build, wants to create, wants to kind of bring to life, especially moving into 2024. There's going to be a lot of energy coming at us to help us really figure out the signature vibration and frequency that we need to be anchoring in under that solstice energy. So we are in accelerated time frame right now. We have no time to waste. It does feel a little bit crazy, chaotic, semi-manic, if I do say so myself. That's that Sag energy. But we really have to get our shit together. We have to get focused. We have to anchor and ground in the version of ourselves that, of course, we fought very hard to become and that we want to continue working with moving into this new karmic chapter. So with all of that out of the way, let's dive into the Ascension symptoms. First of all, let me just say that if you got the absolute mental and emotional snot kicked out of you under that full moon in Gemini, you're not alone. Many of us have not recovered as of yet, still feeling the mental anguish, still feeling the emotional turmoil, if you will. A lot of that had to do with the Sun and Mars. And again, having that opposition to that full moon in Gemini, there was a lot of anger, a lot of passion, a lot of restlessness, a lot of frustration, a lot of agitation that got highlighted, that got released. And it just kind of made us have a little bit of a meltdown. Now, of course, this past week, we've had highs and lows and everything in between. A lot of that is just leaving the vibration and frequency of November behind to kind of dive into a new life lesson, a new chapter. And a lot of the ups and downs that we've been experiencing are due to the CMEs popping off from the sun right now. So I don't know if you've seen it in the news, but they are suspecting that in 2024, the solar cycle that we are currently in is definitely going to surpass all of their predictions, and we might actually have a little bit of a solar blowout. Now, many people kind of speculating whether or not that is the solar event in which we've been waiting for. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. A lot of these predictions, quote unquote predictions, are kind of conditioning us for this, let's call it, shift in energy. Now, let me just remind you, not that I want to get too ahead of myself, I will have some content put out for 2024, but we're going to have Jupiter move into Gemini energy in May. And you best believe that that is going to come with some overwhelming energies affecting our communications. And a lot of the reason of why you hear the solar events being talked about is because there is a suspected internet going down type of event. But is that really popping off for the sun, or are they conditioning us to be prepared for that when a cyber attack actually takes place so that nobody gets the blame? I don't know. We're going to have to kind of see right now, because we're at this particular, I'm going to call it merging of timelines that of course we are going to be going through when the solstice hits. It's really hard to kind of make predictions, I would think, and really kind of see the different timelines and what they're actually going to result in, because things are rapidly progressing. Again, we're in Sagittarius energy. Everybody is having big thoughts, big ideas, new seeds are being planted. We're all experimenting with new versions of self, new timelines, new soul contracts coming with that signature vibration and frequency. So it's very hard right now for even the best psychics, or even the most sensitive of empaths, or even the most powerful star seeds to kind of dictate the outcome of some of these quote unquote stories that are currently being planted in our mindscape. But the meltdown, the emotional turmoil has been very real. The CMEs, the solar codes coming at us right now are very intense. This is having, again, a residual effect on that full moon energy that is taking a very long time to kind of dissipate. And with that, we're going to continue to see the meltdowns take place, especially in, and I want to say this in the nicest way because I don't want to continue to create division here, but those that are still kind of asleep, those are the ones that are having the meltdown because they don't know what's happening to them. We, the quote unquote awakened ones, we know what's going on. We know that when we're having physical discomfort and we're experiencing, these sensitivities being heightened within our physical body, we know to go look at the Schumann Resonance. We know to take a good look at the astrological calendar. We know that there is something electromagnetic frequency wise coming in, altering our physical vibration, our physical energy. But those quote unquote unawakened ones, they don't know what's happening to them. And many of them are losing their damn minds. And that's okay. That's part of the process and it needs to happen. It's going to intensify more and more that we get to that particular timeline anchor point. And not that I'm trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but you can expect to see a lot more death between now and the 21st of December. Why? Because there are particular souls, awakened and unawakened, that have completed the mission, that have taken their particular timelines and soul contracts to a point of no return, so to speak. So there are huge exit points that are being opened up for souls to return to source. And this is also an indicator that the pressure from the timelines merging is becoming too much to some of the physical forms on this earth that haven't done the work in order to strengthen the vessel to house the light that each and every single one of us has to kind of embody in order to be in alignment with this timeline shift. So again, it's a hard time, especially, approaching the holidays, to kind of have a huge amount of loss, a huge amount of death, but just understand that this is divinely scripted. This is a celebratory point for many of the souls returning home, kind of jealous. I won't even lie, kind of jealous. But at the same time, this is just part and parcel of understanding where it is that the old timeline is 100% collapsing. We're not returning back to it. And there's going to be clear indicators that the division that we've been sitting in is now being pressurized into a merging point, into a unification point that not everyone is going to adapt to well, and essentially not everyone is going to survive. So we're going to move out of that. Just wanted you to understand how important this particular time period is for us, for humanity, for the collective, for essentially the history that we are all currently writing. The mental health issue is definitely going to become more and more of a focus. And even in us awakened ones that know exactly why things are happening and where the dark force agenda is trying to kind of play tricks on our mental plane and put us in a funk. But even more than that, I want you to remember that Mercury being in Capricorn energy takes on a serious and somber tone. The existential dread is alive and well in Capricorn energy, let alone when we move into Capricorn season. And therefore, because we've just had this division in our mental plane under that full moon in Gemini, and now because we kind of have to put the blinders on and get very serious and somber about our lives, what we need to do, what we want to do, what we feel like we have to do, everything is pressurized. And especially like I previously mentioned, between the 13th and the 21st, there's a reason for that. Mercury goes retrograde at 8 degrees in Capricorn energy on the 13th, and that is the beginning of when we're going to feel the earth, the foundation, the structure of the reality in which we've been living in start to shake. That's when the dark force energies are going to come back, throwing things back at us from our past that we thought we were done with, that we thought we've outgrown, that we thought we had bring to a healing point. That's totally going to shake us up, wake us up, put us in a situation where, again, it's going to be a hard time to have a positive mind frame, to be focused on the optimistic point of view, the silver linings, if you will. That is just not something that we typically experience with Mercury and Capricorn energy. So we want to pay special attention to our mental health. May I remind you that if you're a sensitive being, that you are absolutely picking up on the collective's energy. May I also remind you that the collective includes the unawakened ones that are currently losing their shit. And it's up to us to take that heaviness, that weight, to alchemize it into something lighter, to put back into the world. But it's going to be a very hard challenge for all of us with Mercury and Capricorn energy in order to keep that positive mood, that attitude, that mind space. Now, it's not impossible. We do have boss up energy. We are the general foreman, the placement of authority in Capricorn energy. But again, we are looking at everything like it is a business transaction. Like, we have to tackle it. There's no room for emotion here, which is going to be a hard thing to do with Venus kind of moving through that Scorpio energy. But nonetheless, it is going to be a very difficult mind frame, space of mind to actually navigate. Now, adding to that, as if the pressure in our heads wasn't enough, as if the mental narrative being a little bit of the Debbie Downer wasn't enough, as if having these sporadic little meltdowns weren't enough, we're going to have what I call bobblehead syndrome. So you know what a bobblehead is. You got a big old head just bobbing there on a small ass body. Well, this is what it's going to feel like with Mercury being in Capricorn energy. We have a lot of big thoughts. We're serious, we're somber, we're logical, we're practical. It's in an earth energy. We're rooted to the ground. But there is this overwhelming weight of roles and responsibilities, of thoughts, of ideas, of plans, of paths, of strategies that we just have to come up with, that we feel the pressure of. And this is going to illuminate where it is that our head feels much bigger than our physical body. It's going to feel much heavier than it has in previous weeks. And it is just going to bring an overwhelming amount of attention to where it is that we're kind of living up in our headspace. Not a bad thing, but also not a very comfortable thing as well. So as far as Neptune goes, I want to talk about Neptune for a second. Neptune, of course, rules over our dreams and our spirituality and like the connection to the metaphysical realm that we're all kind of, dabbling in and learning from. We have had some weird ass dreamscapes while Neptune has been retrograde. Many of us have had such a total disruption in our sleep states that we're either sleeping way too much or we're not sleeping at all. I would prefer to be sleeping too much. Unfortunately for me, I'm not sleeping at all. Now, I know I'm not the only one in this boat, but as Neptune stations to move direct, our dreams are going to become a lot more clear, a lot more jolting, a lot more cryptic. We have been in what I'm going to call a real, raw, harsh, vulnerable state in the astral realm if you're lucky enough to sleep long enough to actually get there. We've kind of been, I'm not going to call them night terrors, although some of us have been experiencing that. But overall, the dreams just haven't been dreaming the way that they're used to being dreamed, okay? So with Neptune now going direct, I would suspect that first of all, we are going to see an adjustment into our actual sleep schedule. So hopefully this means that I'll be able to sleep again. That would be lovely. And secondly, that we're going to see an upgrade to the visual in our dream, to the content in our dream. We are going to be able to access the astral realm again. Many of us have been kicked out for good reason. Many of us that can't sleep, it's because we're not needed in the astral realm. We need our asses anchored into this earth plane. I know when I'm awake all night looking at the clock that I'm not meant to be in the astral realm, but it doesn't make me accept my insomnia any better, any easier, any happier. Okay? We all get miserable when we are running on empty. So not only am I hopefully looking forward to sleep again, but I'm also looking for this upgraded astral realm experience. And especially how we're kind of at crunch time. Like, I don't know if people know how important this particular period of time in history actually is for the evolution of the earth and for its inhabitants. I don't think that people understand how intense this particular chapter of life is, especially as we approach the solstice. Like, this is not fun. This is not a game. This is very serious. Like, this is a spiritual war that, of course, is being manifest here on this physical realm from the wars being kind of fought in other dimensions. This is why we've been locked out of the astral realm. This is why we haven't been able to align with our higher self in the way that we would want. This is why we feel like we're kind of being blocked out of heaven, so to speak, and we're left kind of to our own devices here and really learning how to rely on our own guidance to maneuver through the very difficult challenges and, of course, that we have been faced. I'm hoping that when Neptune goes direct again, of course, the universe hands us the rose-colored glasses back. We can put that on. We're not going to see the world as dark and as harsh as we have been over the last 5 months. But also, we are going to be downloaded with a new, I'm going to call it, instruction manual on what it is that we have to be building towards and what it is that we have to be creating and bringing to life. Again, you've heard me kind of say multiple times over that we're moving into our creator energy chapter, which means that we have to be standing in our power. We have to learn how to manipulate energy. We have to learn how to see past this materialistic facade. We have to understand what is going on behind the curtain, behind the scenes, that we can feel, but that we can't necessarily kind of see or touch in the kind of way that many people were hoping for. So those dream upgrades definitely going to be heightening our sensitivities even when we're awake, which means that we have to double down on our spiritual practices, especially where creating and implementing and enforcing those energetic boundaries are concerned. Spiritual hygiene is an absolute must. I don't know if you've noticed, but again, those dark force entities are coming out to play. They know that they're losing control each and every single day, which means that they're more desperate, just trying harder and harder. This is why those that shine a very bright light are under constant attack from strangers, from friends, from family, from coworkers, just a huge amount of anger and hate out in the world that comes at those of us that shine a very bright light. Don't stop shining your light, okay? That's just an indicator that you're doing something right. The devil doesn't mess with you if you're not a force to be reckoned with. So you're obviously doing something good. Continue doing that. Again, let me just clarify, the devil is an entity energy, okay? We're not talking about one person. We're definitely not talking about anything biblical. We want to shake our head on those particular concepts and just understand that that is the dark force entity that is trying to take away the light, the evolvement, the growth of this collective. Okay, so we just have to understand that it comes in all forms. Anything that comes at us trying to lower us into the emotional realm of fear, of pain, of trauma, of hate, of disgust. All of those are keeping that dark force agenda alive. So if you're experiencing those particular vibrations, frequencies, and emotions, you have to work double time, especially as we approach the solstice, okay? Especially as we approach the solstice, we're going to have to work double time to overwrite those particular emotions and find ourselves in the higher vibration so that we don't allow ourselves to lock in a vibration, an energy signature of the new version of self, of new soul contracts and timelines that are not of the highest. That means, we may have, I'm just going to use this as an example, we may have 3 very different versions of self, timelines and soul contracts that go along with that particular vibration and frequency of self. We may have those available to us at all time. And as things get kind of thrown in our faces and stirred up and the attacks kind of, mount up, trying to keep us low and keep us in a state of fear, disgust, hate, whatever the case may be, one timeline will fall off. Then we have the option of 2. Now, whether or not we're able to actually align with the highest timeline available, of course, that's the goal. But the Dark Force agenda knows that that is also their worst case scenario, which means that things are going to be coming at us, popping at us, especially aspects of power and control issues from the past coming at us from the 13th to the 21st. So please, please pay attention. Be aware of what's going on in your mind space, in your heart space, in your physical body, and whether or not that is justified, meaning do you own it or does it belong to someone else? So of course, the exhaustion, it's an exhausting thing to be fighting an invisible war. Don't know if you've known, it's an exhausting thing to give birth. It's an exhausting thing to be born. It is an exhausting thing to just kind of, wake up every day and just see what life has in store for us here today. And so the exhaustion is likely going to continue, but it's a weird dynamic because, of course, we're in Sag season, which is a fire energy. So there is like this inner realm, manic, exciting, wheels spinning, tables turning type of situation and scenario going on that level. But like physically speaking, I don't think any of us have the physical amount of energy that is currently spinning and turning and spitting off in our inner realm. And so it's a really weird dynamic where we're kind of wired on the inside, but we're very low on physical energy to take action and to make moves. So really manage that energy level with a lot of caution, with a lot of care. We're going to feel a lot of achiness in our body, a lot of rigidity in our joints, bones cracking, the need to be stretching, the need to be just kind of paying attention to the energy built up, especially in our lower extremities. There's this element where we're kind of overstretching our legs, creating Charlie horses. There's tremors, there's spasms going on in our legs. But like this restless leg syndrome scenario where it just feels like our legs are going to crawl out of our meat suits and just give ourselves a good ass kicking, like that sensation is just gross to me. It's like skin crawling. It's like you don't feel like you even have control over some parts of your body. And again, we have to remember that Sagittarius energy does rule over the upper thigh. But again, we are on a major peak precipice here of change. And so we are getting cold feet. There is a restlessness stirring. Mars, of course, in Sagittarius energy has been held back and restricted from taking the kind of action in which he wants to be taking on his big ideas and making moves to actually move forward. There's been a lot of, I'm going to say, resistance by the physical body to really kind of take action and make moves. And a lot of this, again, is energetically speaking, but that energy is just bouncing around in our physical form. And that's why it's so important to engage in physical activity in some kind of way, whether it's going to the gym, or cleaning your house, or just, we have to keep that physical body in movement all the time. Again, energy in motion is what gives us emotions. And so when we feel emotional and there's all this pent up energy and aggression within us, we have to put the physical body in motion in order to keep up with the vibrations and frequencies that are currently vibrating within us due to the energy bouncing around, creating an absolute emotional shitstorm that, of course, we have to figure out how to get out of our physical bodies. So with all of the cracking and aching and all this kind of stuff, we can expect that to become more and more dominant in our physical awareness the closer that we get to the solstice energy, because of course that's when we enter into Capricorn season. Capricorn season rules over the bones, rules over the skeletal structure, the framework, if you will, of our physical form. And we just need to keep that body in movement. Even when you're in pain, even when those ascension symptoms are just making you want to crawl into a ball on the couch, it's important to keep the physical body moving. Get up, dance, go for a little walk, breathe some fresh air, put your feet in a salt bath, like do all of the things that you can do to ease the discomfort of the energy being stuck in your physical body. So many people just, constantly send me messages about how they're just wiped out. They're on the couch. Their pain is just intolerable. And they're not doing anything to lessen it. They're just kind of laying there and just letting the energy just get the best of them. Take advantage of their physical form. I cannot enforce to you. I cannot even tell you how important it is to be in control of your body. No, we may not have control over whether or not we're experiencing ascension symptoms, but there are so many things that you can do to lessen the discomfort. The last thing that you should be doing is laying around, not moving your body. The last thing that you should be doing is just curled up in a ball waiting for these CMEs to pass. That is not the way to move energy. Energy needs movement. We need to continuously keep the body in motion. I don't even care whether or not you have the energy or you have the stamina to do anything significant. It's not about that. It's about going to your healing therapies, the essential oils. Take your oil of oregano, take your elderberry. That will cover all of the boxes on whether or not you're actually going to get sick with the flu or not, with the cold or not. Everybody thinks, oh, I'm getting a cold, I'm getting a flu. No, it's just ascension symptoms. Did you do anything to prevent a cold and flu? No, I just let it sit there until it turned into something. Okay, let me be very clear. If you do nothing, if you just allow the energy, the stagnant energy to create an energy blockage in your body, if you do nothing to try and help move it, it will manifest in a physical illness, in a physical disease. You have to be treating your physical body's ailments energetically or physically or not, doesn't matter. You have to be treating it with all of the healing modalities that are available to you. Energy work, chakra work, vibrational healing, essential oils, salt baths, tinctures. There's tapping, there's dancing, there's drumming. There are so many things that we need to be doing in order to break this energy up. So laying around, curled up in a ball, just waiting for these energy symptoms to pass, wrong move. You're doing yourself a disservice. We are not at the point in our growth, in our healing journey, in our ascension journey, where we're just sitting around waiting for things to dissipate. This is about taking action, guys. We need to stand in our power. We need to stand in our creator energy. We have so many resources available to us that we can tap into and really provide a better environment for our physical bodies to really process these emotions, these energies. We don't have to be in physical pain and physical discomfort all of the time. There are things that you can do. Each and every single symptom requires a different healing modality. So go ahead, do a deep dive, get up off the couch, move your body, and you will be shocked at how that energy actually breaks up, how it disperses in your physical body, and how much better you feel. So with that being said, yes, we do have to kind of move those energies. We have to move that energy through our body. Any time that you feel pain, that you feel discomfort, that is an emotion that is trapped in your physical body. Give it an outlet. Do something to it. Nurture yourself, nourish yourself in mind, body, soul, and spirit in order for you to alleviate the current discomfort in which you're feeling. Now, the discomfort is going to continue, especially with the heart activations, especially because Venus is moving into the deepest, darkest position in Scorpio energy that she could ever find herself. She absolutely hates being here, right? She likes to stay in the shallow end. She likes to keep everything surface level. We do none of those things in Scorpio energy. The heart activations are going to be very noticeable. Again, heart activations. Tension in the chest, limited breath work, okay? So maybe you can't take a deep, full lung of air, coughing fits, rapid heartbeat, irregular heartbeat, indigestion, pain in the shoulder blades, in your back, air bubbles stuck underneath the ribs. All of these are signs and symptoms of a heart activation. It is attempting to release a lot of the heavier emotional weight that you're carrying on your heart space. We have to expect that is going to get very intense as Venus works her way through the shadow realm of our deepest, darkest desires and equally our deepest, darkest fears. So you're going to notice over the course of this week that you may be spending a little bit extra time in the bathroom. There are going to be more frequent bathroom trips. Why is that? Well, first of all, we're in a fire sign. We should be keeping up on our hydration, really keeping the fluids to us, making sure that we're not kind of getting dehydrated, which of course means that we have more liquid to process and more frequent bathroom breaks. On the other side of the channel, we should call it, we're learning to let go of the shit that we've been holding on to. Literally, and theoretically, okay? We're coming to a release point, which means that we are going to see an evacuation of a lot of toxicity that we've been holding on to in our biological systems, which means that we're going to be spending some extra time in the bathroom. Now, especially under that last quarter moon in Virgo energy. Virgo energy rules over the stomach, the nerves, and the digestive system. We always get a little bit, I'm going to say, nauseous, queasy, and uneasy in all different, let's call it, outlets of our orifices. And it is very unpleasant, but we have to expect it. This is a release. This is a purge. This is a surrendering of, again, a lot of the quote unquote toxic shit, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, that we have been holding on to. I want you to pay attention to your spit. Our spit is going to feel watered down. You know that sensation that you get right when you feel like you're going to get sick and your mouth fills up with that watery spit? Yep. Welcome that to your experiences here this week. A lot of this is because of the recalibration that we're going through. A lot of this is because the congestion, the phlegm that we've been trying to kind of break up and get out of our bodies, we are kind of watering it down. It is becoming thinner. And again, the more you hydrate, the thinner the mucus, the less the congestion you're actually going to have. But we can't forget, and I know I kind of talked about this as far as a heart activation goes, but there's going to be some gas bubbles right up underneath our ribs. This is more of a solar plexus, a solar plexus activation than a heart activation. But depending on, they kind of work together. They're very close in that particular arena. The solar plexus going through this recalibration as we kind of, experiment with this new version of self, we can kind of expect a higher level of acidity in our body. Again, acid reflux. There is a major change needed in our dietary cravings and what it is that we're putting in us. Again, acidity is just a breeding ground for disease and for horrible things and keeping us in a state of just burning up inside, literally. And we don't want that for ourselves. Now, again, we want to be mindful on what it is that we can do to kind of alleviate some of these symptoms. Yes, they are energetic in nature, but again, if you don't do anything about them, they will manifest in the physical body as illness, as disease. So we want to pay attention to that. I feel like the throat, we've been dealing with the throat for a little bit now. That throat chakra just needs to pop off. We have a truth. That full moon in Gemini energy rules over communication, but we haven't been able to articulate what it is that we even need to say. And that's a lot of the anger and frustration that we're currently experiencing within ourselves. That's why we had a meltdown. That's why we had a tantrum. We are piecing things together to a certain extent, but we're not really ready to speak on it. And so, especially with Mercury now in this Capricorn energy, we only speak on things that are important. That's going to kind of contribute to solving some of the problems, solving some of the issues. We're definitely not as emotionally communicative as we have been in the past, which can work for us. Definitely put us more in a logical, practical, matter of fact, this is how it is, this is how I think, this is how I feel. And that's going to benefit a lot of people. But right now, we're still struggling with what it is that we want to get out of our bodies, with what it is that we want to say, with what it is that we're even thinking and feeling. Because again, clarity is not the strongest factor here these days. So the throat, you may wake up in the morning, you might have a sore throat. It might be an itchy throat. It might be a constant clearing of your throat. Whichever way it manifests for you, please be addressing the throat area. If you need to be speaking affirmations or mantras into the mirror while you eye gaze into your soul, then do it. We have to start empowering ourselves before we feel confident enough to share our inner realm with the world around us. So sometimes we need to just start very small, very simple with ourselves, really getting in alignment with what it is that we're thinking, what it is that we're feeling, what it is that we're choking on saying and getting out of our physical bodies. So pay attention to the throat, pay attention to what it is that you're biting your tongue upon, pay attention to what it is that you're trying to say that is just not coming out correctly. Maybe capture your thoughts, your ideas, what it is that you want to say on paper first, act as the observer, read it back to yourself, ask yourself if that's actually the way that you think and feel, make some edits there before you go ahead and actually blurt out what it is that you haven't taken the time to thoroughly articulate. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. This could appear as a sore spot, or it could appear as an itchy spot. We know that itchiness is healing. We know that sore spots, technically speaking, are energy blockages. There's going to be this weird sensation. So I'll give you the itchiness. You ever have that itchy where you go and you scratch the area in which you think the itchy's in, but you never seem to actually itch the itch? Well, same with sore spots. You ever have the sore spot maybe on your leg, on your back, on your elbow, on your head, whatever the case may be, and you know it's sore, but you actually don't know the actual originating point of where the soreness is coming from. You just know that it's sore in that area. It's like you can't touch it. Like you can't identify it. Like there's not an actual targeted goal zone of where this is actually stemming from. This is something that we can experience body-wide, okay? So it's no particular area that I think it's going to show up for the collective. I think it's just an indicator to us where in our own personal journey, our own personal path right now, that we need to bring attention to wherever this particular sore or itchy spot is appearing in our physical body. Of course, where it appears says a lot about the emotions that we're currently trying to heal from or even acknowledge to heal from. But we're going to have to pay attention to whether it is sore or itchy, because that's revealing, and where the general area of this sensation is actually stemming from. So we've been talking for quite some time now about how our palm chakras have been trying to come online to prepare us to move into this creative type of chapter that we're moving into. Like we all have to stand in our creator energy. And of course, our palm chakras, we have one that puts out energy, one that brings energy in. We have a projector and we have a receiver. And this is why we've been experiencing a lot of hand cramps, a lot of finger injuries. I feel like this week we're going to have more experiences with like hangnails. Just, you got a little hangnail there and you pull it and all of a sudden you just lost half of your thumb. Well, yeah, that kind of situation. Broken nails. I mean, just, silly little accidents, silly little injuries, paper cuts on certain fingers. Of course, each finger is in alignment and resonates with a certain planet, and those planets have a certain message. So if you are kind of experiencing different injuries or hangnails or broken nails, you want to look up what that finger means, what rulership, what planet has rulership over that particular finger. And, you can look for palmistry for that kind of information or whatever the case, but everything that we experience in our physical body is a energetic messenger to what needs time, energy, and attention on the unconscious, spiritual, energetic level. It manifests in our physical body because that's the only way that we would even notice that something's wrong. That's how we bring attention inward to the depth, to the, I'm going to say, layers that we create in all of the bodies that we have. We have a physical body, we have an energetic body, we have a spiritual body, mental body, emotional body. There are many levels to the bodies, right? But the physical body is the densest material that we can have a sensation in. And let's face it, everybody just walks around like a zombie until they have a pain, until they have an ailment. And then what happens? Then we become fixated on trying to feel better. So use your pain and your discomfort as a way to map where it is that your soul needs you to pay more attention to certain areas of your life, certain thoughts, certain energies, certain ideas. Okay, guys, I'm taking a look at my list and I think I've checked everything off. That's all I really want to kind of explore and discover here for this week. I think that is enough. But I just want to thank you for not only showing up for me, but for showing up for yourself. This is a very hard journey to be on, especially when we enter into certain chapters such as the one that we're in, especially as we approach the solstice. Things are going to get heightened in not the nicest way. Please understand that is a plan and a strategy to keep us at our lowest point for that solstice energy. We have to navigate this month with as much careful intention as possible. And I'm not saying that to be a fear monger, I'm not saying that to get you in a state of anxiety or anticipation. I'm saying that because we need to stay ahead of the game here. We need to rise above some of the plans, the strategies that are being kind of created to come against us at this time, to really derail us from all the work that we've been doing and set us up to lock in a version of ourselves that we fought very hard to outgrow, to heal, to actually kind of move away from. So we have to be very aware of what's going on. We have to stand in our power. We have to do a deep dive in our emotions, in our thoughts, in our physical body. We have to be aware of the signs, of the symbols, of the signals, of the messages coming in from the cosmos, using our physical form as the messenger to show us what it is that we need to be focused on in the different layers of our energetic soul self that we wouldn't know about if we didn't have pain and discomfort in our physical bodies to kind of bring our attention to that particular area. So we're going to continue to be the warriors that we are. We're going to continue to rise to the challenge. We're going to continue to show the dark force agenda that we know their plot, their plan, and that we are going to stay ahead of the game. We are going to continue to stay very diligent to make sure that we are grounded in our own energy, that we understand our own energy very, very well, and that we can kind of attack and kind of, just give ourselves the attention that we need when something pops off, that we can bring it to our attention very quickly. We can process it very quickly. We can resolve it very quickly as well. So, of course, I thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sending you nothing but love, and we'll talk to you soon.